Well, welcome, dear viewers, to the slow death of storytelling. I am going to watch this. I'm a busy man. I can't really make a review as detailed and as my episode 1 review currently, so this is going to be much more haphazard, sadly. But I am still torturing myself with this show in a vain hope of maybe there being something Tolkien-like at some point. I really don't like sand.
Elf workers, taking your trades, who don't sleep, don't tire, don't age, don't tire, don't sleep, don't age.
What are you talking about? There's little one elf there. One elf doesn't work because she is too highborn to work, basically just complains. And is this an allegory? Because, you know, do you know what Tolkien thought about allegories? Well, there is a perfect quote for that in the very beginning, in the very foreword of The Lord of the Rings. So I would guess, because these writers were so convincing about their fidelity to the books, you know, we go back to the books, go back to the books, go back to the books.
Go back to the book, go back to the book, go back to the book.
Liar!
This stinks of an allegory of a very modern situation, much forced into this world, because really there's just one elf there.
They're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems.
And I suppose Elendil here is a runic emperor.
This really bothers me. There's one tiny little detail among a great many bigger details that bothers me. They tend to use words coming from Latin and Greek, like civilization. They use that before. Emperor is a Latin word, and there's quite a few instances when they say intuition, and like, Tolkien would avoid these words. I'm not an expert. I know I make my own mistakes, so to say, in English, because I'm not a native speaker. But still, you know, a very parallel problem exists in Polish, I can assure you, and it is weird, because every translation I've read and every original English written Tolkien I read avoids these words as much as possible, you know, not maybe very fervently. There are some instances in The Lord of the Rings and in Silmarillion, and it is justified by the fact that the Lord of the Rings is told from the perspective of the hobbits. They don't have anything similar to the classic ancient Greek and Roman influence in their culture, let's say. But still, even if the story isn't told from the hobbits' perspective, it still tries to avoid Latin and Greek words. And these people here, these writers, they just don't care. Just don't care about style. You know, usually Tolkien would go for an English Germanic rooted word, if possible. And these they just don't care. They don't even check it. I don't think it's pretty obvious for a smart high schooler which ones are from Greek and Latin.
Castaway, grasping for a handhold in a tempest. There is a tempest in me.
That is a legendary line at this point. I'm not even going to comment. Jeez, Galadriel, why so angry all the time? Like, you don't even know each other yet. You don't know what are the reasons for her to...
And it will not be quelled by you, Regent.
You are not Gandalf. Morfydd, it's very nice, but you are not Gandalf. You know, I know you are trying and all.
Authority is not given to you to deny the return of the king, steward.
And it will not be quelled by you, Regent.
There was a reason why Gandalf had to say those things, you know. Denethor actually didn't have any rights to refuse the return of the king. You're not that scary, you know. You're a little bit too small to be scary. I'm sorry, I don't want to be like that. I know she tries. Okay, I'm not exactly convinced the mercy killing and the sympathy for the orcs is, what would you say, easy to introduce into Middle-earth. Even if you try that, I would say build it up somehow a little bit. This is like the second scene when the orcs are actually active and say something and do some things, and they already are trying to convince us, oh, you were wrong, you were so wrong about all the orcs. And I don't think we were wrong. They are still very bloodthirsty creatures, even if they do have feelings, which is pretty much obvious they did have. There are at least 2 scenes, and I think in The Lord of the Rings that would suggest that very problem, that would suggest that orcs do what they do out of fear mostly. So there is a room to explore that, I would say. Not a lot of room, but there is a room to explore that without trying to signal, oh, look, we have fifis too. You can do it much more naturally and smoothly, I say. But we'll see how it goes, of course. Holy hell, it's only 15 minutes in, really? 15 minutes in. See, almost 16. Great. And I'm already bored. This is not right. This is Middle Earth. This should not be this boring. I recently watched a rather old TV show from the 90s. Well, started watching it. There's a lot of episodes to go. And that's much more engaging. I always feel after 40 minutes that I need more. And here I feel after 15 minutes that I need much, much less.
You have been told many lies. Even the rocks and roots now believe them.
That is very, very subtle. Are we going for that? Are we going for the evil Valar thing, that they were lied by the Valar? I can't wait. I really... Please kill me.
Deliver to them a message.
What message? Oh, you cut there. You cut on the message. Deliver the message. What message? Cut. I'm sure they are building up to something extremely surprising.
Who gave you the right to decide?
Everyone who decided to come to this tower, Waldrick, including you.
Okay, this is so well written. There's so much consequences to all the choices. Nobody in the entire bloody village has any experience ever in fighting orcs or hunting even or weapon making. Anything closer to fighting orcs than, you know, root medicine.
You can either help me or you can make it harder.
That's what she said. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Elves and dwarves.
And you know what bothers me even more? I usually don't do that. I usually don't nitpick this much. But there's nothing else to do here. There's nothing interesting. There's no likable character. There is no interesting sub-story, subplot. There is nobody to really root for. The main character is rubbish. The secondary characters are mostly rubbish too. The only guy I even remotely sympathize with is Halbrand, who is Sauron. Either means I'm the evil person here, which of course is what the writers would say about me, or the writing is absolutely abysmal. And the only understandable, interesting and likable person in the entire crew is the future Lord of Darkness.
Together. It is everything you said it would be.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I so hate this Celebrimbor.
I care nothing for whatever is in.
Then why did you come here if you care nothing for whatever it is there in that chamber? Just because Granny Bimbor told you there is a secret, you had to know the secret? This makes no bloody sense. And this is yet another friendship in this show that is entirely focused around bitching and quarreling and being distrustful for reasons. Like, this is so bloody sudden. Who wrote this? This is so sudden. Celebrimbor said something. Oh, there is a secret. And Elrond immediately decided he needs to CSI it to the bottom of the problem instantly because of reasons.
I'm in the habit of going off with strange young men.
Very wise. If I see any, you'll be the first to know.
That was actually a charming dialogue. I have to give it to them. That was a nice. That was a very smooth dialogue.
All of a sudden, she throws you in a cell.
Why is Sauron? Yes, he probably is Sauron, by the way. This is going to be super duper reveal. Why is Sauron the only intelligent person in the entire crew? It really interests me. Last episode, he was extremely combative, to put it mildly. He was very aggressive, and he basically put down 4 or 6 or some large group of guys trying to assault him for stealing a medallion. That's a long story. And he was rather terrifying, but somewhat impressive. Of course, there was a lot of cuts so that the actor or the stunt don't have to do a lot of work. That would be very, very exhausting and it would take a lot of time. So there was a lot of cuts, but generally it was a fight scene, I guess. And he was somewhat impressive there, all but very scary. So they are trying to suggest already plant the Sauron-ness, the Sauron-ness of him. Makes so little sense that he's the only reasonable person in the room so often. I mean, it makes sense in a way that Sauron should be highly intelligent in a human form or any other. It feels to me it happens unintentionally, Like I'm supposed to admire the Galadriel's sort of ambition and stalwartness, but there's nothing to admire. She's just annoying all the time. And I think it's something to do with the camera work and the music. It always sort of tries to show Galadriel as very noble. And there's nothing noble to all the complaints and whining and all the things she has done so far. Now she's being explained what is the proper behavior. I don't know how Halbrand, if he isn't Sauron and if he really is an exile, how exactly does he know all of this and understands how to behave. But on the other hand, compared to Galad lady here, everybody knows better how to behave in social situations and how to treat superiors of any kind, you know, with just a little bit, a modicum of respect. You don't even need to kneel, as we have learned. I struggle to understand what the darn writers wanted to achieve with her and him. He seems to be likable and sort of understandable, even though he is about to be Sauron, and she needs to touch the darkness, so to say. So there are implications there in that formulation from the first episode about touching darkness, and him being most likely Sauron. Some implications that I don't exactly like. I don't need to know that about my lady Galadriel, really. Jesus Christ. What? What?
If you knew exactly where she was going.
What? Let's rewind here. It's rewind time. Okay, so she pulls him over to the side, and the two of them are already in the cell almost. In the doorway, and she catches this one guy.
I can't very well let her leave.
Why do you cut away from that? And it's so lazy. Jesus. You cut away, they don't defend themselves at all. He doesn't defend himself at all. Everybody is just expected to believe this is so awesome and irresistible and everybody should be afraid of her, but it's not shown at all. It's not executed, just in the writing. It's not in the picture at all. You just grabbed one guy and pushed that guy in another guy, and now everybody is miraculously in the cell. Why the smirk, you absolutely unbearable cow? Jesus Christ, there's so little to do with Galadriel, really. Even if Galadriel... Well, first of all, Galadriel... There was a conversation about this exact problem, Galadriel. Just before this scene here, before this situation, you talked to Halbrand about this sort of behavioral pattern of yours. Somebody wrote me that, no, you don't understand. These guys, the writers want you to dislike Galadriel. Really? Maybe, but they still want me to be impressed by her. In all sorts of weird, inconsequential, lousy ways. Like, what was this scene? If they don't want me to admire her, what the hell is this scene and this fucking smirk? Am I supposed to be impressed, so to say? Quoting Skyrim Battle Towns? Or maybe it was Oblivion's, never mind. I need to play Oblivion after this, it would be much more entertaining.
But you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not. You have not seen what I've seen. You have not seen what I have seen. I know what it is to be the only one. The only one who sees.
Of course you do. Of course you do, Galadriel. Of course, you are the only one who sees. And the other girl boss in this island is also the only one who sees, because only girl bosses see things. What? I wonder if we will ever see what she has seen, you know.
The only one who knows.
Fuck off. This is exactly what I was talking about before. I don't think the writers want to dislike me to dislike Galadriel exactly, you know, because of scenes like this. Supposed to sympathize or empathize or admire in some way, at least, for something, which would be a very interesting character concept, a sort of rage-driven character who is also, in ways, admirable. That is a great concept, absolutely, and that is very possible that this is what they were going for, but this is not what they achieved. What they achieved is a whining, person. You know, very whiny person.
What was that?
This is exactly my question about half of the scenes in this show. Even with the same face, this is going to be. I am going to use it as a little meme in my videos henceforth.
What was that?
You have not seen what I have seen.
What was that?
And now these people from the future are showing up and offering to do the same work for next to nothing. They took our jobs!
What was that?
Sometimes I wish I could tell him exactly what I think of him.
My father single-handedly sailed to Valinor. Would he be proud of what I'd accomplished with his legacy? Disappointed by the countless ways I'd failed to live up to it. But then, one night, it struck me that I would be only too happy to hear any judgment, so long as it granted me the opportunity to have but one more conversation with my father.
Yeah, this is an okay scene. Good. It only took, what, 40 minutes? Oh, no, 54. It's just 54 minutes, but it is a decent scene. Very nice scene. So we'll probably cut to something abysmal and boring very soon.
He has. But intuition's a powerful tonic. What does yours tell you?
Intuition. Again, intuition is a Latin-derived word. I am absolutely convinced. Let me just Google it. Why intuition? Why not the heart? Why not the heart? What does your heart tell you? There's even a scene from The Return of the King to poach from. That seems so modern, such a modern academic word. Circa 1600s first used. And of course, from late Latin intuition, intuitio, act of contemplating, from Latin intuere, to look at, to contemplate. And that comes from tuere, to look at. Yes, so it's an insight, so to say. What does your insight tells you? That could be a question, because basically, etymologically, there are certain ways in English to express the same idea without using Latin. And I guess that would be a lot to ask for, even though there is a precedence in the Lord of the Rings that they do have the right to use. Very easy and memorable conversation. What does your heart tell you? Your insight can be powerful. What does your heart tell you? Something like that, you know. Much more Middle Earthish, I would say, but maybe I am wrong. I'm sure they are professionals, right? Sure, they're professionals. I'm sure they checked it and they decided that a word that is no older than 1600s would fit very well.
I have a message.
Oh, now you have the message.
The one who commands our enemy.
You took your sweet ass time to say the message.
These lands, and swear fealty to him.
So basically the message is surrender or die then. Really didn't need to build it up so much. That was a long time wasted. I wonder if Galadriel ever sits down. It's a boat! Are you going to stand like that?
I would neither command nor invite you to any danger I myself would not face.
I decided to personally escort the elf back to Middle-earth.
Jesus Christ, really? Why the ruse? Again, so sudden. So unnecessary. You send her back, and then you send another boat to catch her and bring her back to Numenor? It's... Jesus Christ. It's not a surprise when I'm not surprised, when I don't have the time to think, oh, she's back in Middle-earth. Everything either lasts for the entire episode or like a dozen. It feels like a dozen, even though it's the 4th episode. Or it doesn't last at all. Like that's the father-son situation from the dwarven plot. The petals fell from the tree, and that was the convincing point, or was it all just you were just pretending to send her off for no goddamn reason? Because if it is the latter, if you just pretended, then you could have just bring her out like you are doing it now, without pretending to send her off. And if you already did send her off, and then change your mind because 3, then you are very easily swayed, I must say. How come Galad Lady's speech didn't work? I guess, okay, it's a sign of the faith. It's still not built up at all. You know, that is a prime example of shitty writing, when you have to explain your reasoning just before the scene. At this point, I should know her and know this situation, this belief, so to say, which is also sort of clunky, because there was pretty much no religion, almost no religion in Numenor, if you believe Tolkien, but I know you don't. So if I am supposed to be excited here about this sudden change of heart of Tar Miriel, then may I suggest introducing the importance of the tree at the start of the episode, or something like that. I know, I'm sorry, it's unfair to judge you on that, because you failed with the message for Arondir and for the Southerners. You tried that with that plot, and you failed. So, Jesus, in that plot, it was just too obvious. It was just a message that everybody would expect. So there was no point in dragging it for the entire episode. And here it's just too easy. Nothing has any secrecy to it, or any, what would you say? There's nothing has its own quality. You know, the tree, remember in the Return of the King? The tree of the kings was introduced at the beginning of the movie and was very subtle. There wasn't a lot of talk about what it means if it ever flourishes again. There was this very short, very side remark, sort of suggestion that when it flourishes, it means the king will return. And then there is a short little shot of a flower growing on that tree when they escort Faramir's sort of body. They think, or they pretend it's a dead body of Faramir. They escort Faramir to the graves. It's all very subtle, very quick, and it doesn't try to be like this amazing reveal, like some sort of game-changing, mind-breaking reveal. Just a nice little nod to what we witness happening. It's shown, is used, but it doesn't expect the viewer, the audience, to be absolutely bedazzled and impressed by all of that. And this here, do you hear the music? Again, the same darn music we've heard for 4 episodes now. And the great speech and all of that. Really, it would be much more impactful if you just told me about the belief somewhere in the middle of the episode or at the beginning of the episode, and then try to send Galadriel off. Try to not to make this silly freaking switcheroo celebrating her departure for, I don't know, 5 minutes. Just show me her getting into the boat, introduce the belief very much sooner in the episode, very quickly, very briefly, in some sort of conversation, preferably about something else, and then, bam! She gets into the boat, the petals start to fall, we get a take of her face, she looks at Galadriel, Galadriel looks at her, wabam, we cut to this here scene, and it will be so much better. Well, my dear viewers, I just want to die. And I still need to watch 2 more of these before I catch up with today's episode. Oh my god, please. Is there any other... are the following 2 better than this one? Because I am slightly afraid they may be worse. Okay, how do you sum up an abortion like this? How do you make a quick summary? Well, as I started to talk about, it would do it some good to the screenwriting if they actually decided to introduce things more subtly, less celebratory, so to say, with less oomph-ba-doomph and less fanfare, because really most of these reveals that we had in this episode are really not that impressive or that surprising, and Galadriel is absolutely just intolerable, and even Forbes agrees with that. At this point I read that article. Jeez Louise, if even Forbes agrees, there is no hope. And there's a severe Galadriel problem. They failed to introduce anything of interest or importance. They failed to show her human side, show her enjoying anything, except maybe horse riding, which was weird and creepy. They even can't really show her as intelligent too much because she's just so angry all the time. She can't think clearly, as evidenced by a scene when the sentiment is pretty much stated out loud in no uncertain terms by Sauron, Halbrand. Even though, you know, Galadriel was rather wise in the original, but yeah, okay, I know, I'm sorry, it's unfair to judge you on the original, right? You are doing your own thing. You're just using the names. So I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, but even, I know I said it would be much better as a generic show, but even if I try to forget that this is supposed to be Middle-earth, like, it's not a likable character. The main character, the leading lady, it's not a likable character. It's not a particularly admirable character, even though they really try her to be. But they got the fuck away from her extremely impressive combat skills. They cut away from that and they just showed these two guys being scared and impressed and they are smirking. Why? This was a parody scene. This was a comedy bloody scene. Unintentional, I would bet. So there was that. She is not particularly impressive either unless everybody helps her very much and if everybody around her tries to be as clumsy as possible. So I don't know where is this one positive quality, even if she is on her path to redemption, sort of. Even if that was the intent. If she is consumed by anger and vengeance, and she's only now on her path to being redeemed in a way, or revealed from that. And I bet it would involve touching the darkness, because that was planted in the first episode. So she needs to touch the darkness properly first. Sure, that's a bit creepy. But I guess there is some truth to that, some precedence in the Christian thinking. I would guess you sort of need to be tried, by the forces of evil, and before you can become true saint. Let's say that's all fine and well for me. This idea, it's just so poorly executed that it pains me to watch. Really, there is one thing that really impresses me. This show achieves being simultaneously extremely slow and extremely jumpy and extremely rushed in the writing. There's so much change, so much switcheroos. Now this queen wants to exile her, but now she's on her side, and now this guy is good, but now he's bad, and now he's good, but now he's bad, and now this person here is following Sauron. Now this person here is obsessed by Sauron. Now there is a Sauron worshipper in the midst of our defenders. There's so much happening, and yet it all amounts to nothing. Nothing happens because you don't really get to know any of these characters properly. There is one build-up for now in the 4th episode. Hooray! 4 hours later, there's one somewhat endearing relationship in all of this writing, and that's mainly because the actors really tried. I talk, of course, about Elrond and Durin. So now there is something here to maybe enjoy watching, if they don't destroy it in the following episodes, and I'm sure they will. But if they don't, by some miraculous turn of events, they will preserve this relationship as sort of driving force of the plot, and maybe there will be one. But I don't have much hope for that, to be honest. I'm afraid they may destroy it with some very, very silly dialogue options.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
What was that?
So, that is that. There is that. The characters are mostly unbearable. Their decision-making is extremely rushed, and so not really intelligible. The force insertion of some sort of weak-ass allegory for modern days as seen by lazy Hollywood writers with the bloody elven workers come here. What the fuck, dude? There's no elves there. That was so annoying, and that was at the beginning of the episode, so you can very easily imagine my state of mind now. God, Jesus Christ, and I really hope they will do something to this Galadriel, but their time is running out, I must say. Time is running out. Right, okay. I need a rest, I need a long holiday, a very long holiday, and I don't expect I should return. In fact, I mean not to.